Hi, I'm Southampton Town Supervisor Jay Schneiderman, and welcome to Talk of the Town, where we take a close look at issues facing our community, and we meet some of the people involved in working for our town and keeping the town running. Today, I'm joined by Mike Benacasa. He is our Chief Building Inspector, probably the busiest department in the town, right here at Town Hall, and they line up there at that counter to get their permits. This is springtime, or pretty close to springtime, so people are busy trying to get their permits so they can put in foundations or decks or swimming pools or whatever and get things done in time for the summer, right?
That's it.
Is this the busiest time of the year typically?
Well, it is the busiest time of the year. We don't slow down much. All through winter, folks are getting their permits, getting ready for this time to start the construction. So we're busy pretty much year round, but it does get a little bit heavier now because not only do you have people coming in for permits, the work is actually starting, so the inspections start to pick up.
Now, what type of permits do people come to your office for?
Everything from swimming pools to extensions to new homes to renovations. It just runs the gamut.
And of course, certificate of occupancies.
Sales are traditionally picking up this time of year, so we're doing updated COs. Then they're getting a little bit busy now.
So if somebody, let's start with somebody building a new home, right? Maybe there's a home already there, so they need a permit, I guess, to tear down the old structure.
Demo permit to tear down the old one, and then a building permit to construct a new one.
Right, and in that process, they might have accessory structures, pools, garages, and things like that. Everything has to get a permit, right?
Absolutely.
And there's different stages, right? So you have to get a health department permit. That's for your sanitary system. That comes first before they get the building permit?
Yes, an application comes into us. We're the last step in the process. So folks would go get their health department approval, environmental approvals if they need it, their highway work permit, and then they come to us with a complete application. We take it in, process it, hopefully issue the permit. Sometimes the plans don't quite meet the state code, or they don't meet the zoning code, so we have to send the denial letter out, and then they resubmit with the corrected paperwork.
Is somebody coming to town and buying a house might not realize all that took place just to get that house built, right? So behind the scenes, so there are rules and regulations and various boards, right? So you have to have a certain, let's say, setback from your neighbors. There's a limit to how high you can go. We have pyramid laws in terms of height and close to your neighbors and proximity to your neighbors. Setbacks to wetlands, water table issues. We have energy ratings, right, on homes that they have to meet, right?
Strict energy ratings.
Right. What is that? That's what we call the HERS rating.
Well,
right?
yes, we call it a HERS rating. And there are a few municipalities around that do the same as us, but we have ramped ours up to a higher level than most municipalities. We have one of the most progressive home energy conservation codes in the country. And a lot of folks say, oh, it's hard to do, and it's really not that hard to do on a larger home. Sometimes it's easier to do on a larger home than on a smaller home. But we've had great success, and our homes, a home of 10,000 square foot uses the same energy as a 2,000 square foot home with our code. Because the bigger the home, the more stringent the requirements.
Do we also have rules about accessibility, or is that only in commercial buildings in terms of people with physical disabilities?
Yeah, that's on commercial properties.
And then, but there's other rules in terms of residential homes, in terms of the aesthetic of the house. Does it have to go through?
Goes to the all new homes go to the Architectural Review Board for review, and trying to keep things in character with the community, making sure they're not so much tucked up onto other homes. So when they do get kind of close, they try to keep the homes, the mass sometimes off a certain property line, just to give it a little bit more spacing.
And what about engineering? So you have to think about that this home is going to obviously be structurally sound,
The-
certain materials that may be flammable, those, all that stuff, right? Everything
Yes.
goes
Oh,
into your,
there's a lot
review
that goes
process.
into a new home. And a lot of our new homes, we call them homes, but they're really commercial buildings. A lot of them are built with steel frame.
Sure.
The engineering that goes into them is a tremendous amount of engineering. The mechanicals, I've gone into a couple and you're in the basement, you're looking at the mechanical, you would think you're in the basement of the Empire State
Right.
Building with the.
And they have to
amount-
meet all these various guidelines, right? You have to have ground fault interrupters in certain areas, certain outlets,
There-
and
yeah.
can't be in certain places. Things have to be at certain heights. There's so
Yeah.
many rules, and you oversee all of that, right? So when you issue the permit, it's because the plans meet all those guidelines.
Right.
And then you, as they start to construct, you and your team are there at several different intervals signing off on things.
Yeah, we do a foundation inspection, a framing inspection, a strapping inspection, a rough plumbing inspection, a rough electric, final electric, a insulation inspection, and a final inspection.
Now, people, may think they can do certain things without permits, and sometimes they get caught off guard, right? So they
They
finish
do.
a basement. Like, you need a permit to finish a basement,
Yes, you do.
right?
Mhm.
You need a permit to put in a shed, in most cases.
Well, a residential storage shed, which is 120 square foot, no taller than 12 feet, with no external lighting, residential storage shed doesn't require a permit.
What about a deck?
Decks do because they're structural.
Right. So all decks would need a permit.
Right.
In some cases, might not even be allowed because they might not meet
Setbacks,
setbacks. And when somebody can't meet a setback, they can go to the zoning board, right?
Yes, they
That's
can.
what the zoning board is for,
Mhm.
to plea their case and try to get some relief, and maybe the zoning board can relax that setback a little bit. And there's also a conservation board. What does that board do?
Conservation Board makes sure that the environment's protected. So there are certain requirements on setbacks from structures, different types of structures, primary structures, accessory structures, decks, fencing. They make sure all the setbacks are proper and that the wetlands are going to be protected.
So now somebody's going to put a deck on the back of their house. Can they use any contractor they feel like?
Any licensed contractor that they feel like, yes.
All right, so every contractor that does work in the town of Southampton,
Has to have a home improvement contractor license.
okay.
Some work that doesn't require a permit still requires that you have a licensed contractor.
So in issuing those licenses, are we making sure that the contractor is professional, has the ability to do the job?
Well, we make sure that the contractor has workman's comp and liability insurance,
Okay.
and that they're free from legal problems. So one of the questions on our application is, have you been convicted of a crime? So it's a kind of an in-depth application, and all new contractors, their applications go before the licensing review board for review. And sometimes if the application is questionable, they'll call the contractor in for a sit-down and talk to that contractor. Ultimately, what we want is we want contractors to be reputable and treat our residents fairly. And there's been times when homeowners haven't treated our contractors fairly. And I've interceded in quite a few disputes, trying to keep them out of the architecture review board. I'm sorry, licensing review board, and been successful.
Okay, good. Have you noticed, now you've been at this for a while. How long have you been with the town?
I've been with the town 16 and a half years, and before that I was with Brookhaven Town for 6.5 years, so I've been in
How
business.
long as chief building inspector here?
16 and a half years.
16 and a half
Yeah, I was
years.
hired as the chief building inspector.
And that's a tough job. You have to be like an impartial referee, right?
Well,
Consistent.
yes,
It's
yeah.
not easy. Everybody they want you more than they want me, right?
Yeah.
You're probably the most wanted person in town. They come to you and they say, can I do this? Can't I do this? And you have to treat obviously everybody fairly.
We treat everybody fairly, and I use the books behind me at my desk to help people through the process. And I see my job and my building department's job is helping people achieve what they want to achieve as long as it's in compliance with the code. And it seems to work better that way than trying to get people to use that code to stop people from doing what they want to do.
Right. And people still, they get frustrated with
They
the
get
process, right?
frustrated.
Why is it taking so long? You hear that a lot, right?
We do. There's governments don't have spare people in the closet, so that you have fluctuations in activity walking through the door. So you can't staff for the busy times, because in the slow times you have people standing around looking at each other. So you have to find that the right amount of staff, and we do have that level pretty much nailed down. And so when it gets really busy, we get bogged down a little bit, but we always manage to get people
I
what
know
they
you
want.
created a kind of an expedited review as well, that some of your employees can work on time off or weekends and things like that, and people pay a little bit more for that.
They do. And in the beginning, we were getting a little criticism. Well, the rich folk, if they could afford to pay the expedited fee, they get service quicker. But what that does is it takes their application out of the queue. So it actually speeds up the time for the local people, working people, or somebody who just elects not to pay the additional fee.
Are you seeing a lot of people taking advantage of the expedited
Yeah.
permit?
There are quite a few.
And what about building in general? Or in the last few years, it seems everywhere I look, there's a new home going up. Is it still continuing at that pace?
Yeah. 2017, we saw a 10% increase in building permit applications over 2016. So it's we're gradually getting back to some of the numbers that we saw back in the early 2000s.
So it's slowing down a little bit?
No,
or
it
staying?
slowed. It was very busy when I first got here. Like, I got here in 2001, I think it was, and it was really busy, and then it dropped off, and now it's been gradually coming back up again.
I imagine around the time of the recession, it dropped
Yeah.
off. So it's holding pace with last year, pretty close? or-
Well, our numbers, like I said, 17 was 10% higher than 16, and we're a little bit. Our numbers for the first couple of months, our expediteds are up over last year. So
Tell me, you've probably seen it all at this point, from unscrupulous contractors to residents who don't want to hear no matter what. They want what they want immediately. Let's start with home size. I mean, what's the largest home you've had to review?
the largest home that I've been in was over, and it's now the village of Sagaponack. I think that one was around 20 or 30,000 square feet. It was an amazing, it was actually like a museum. It was museum quality construction. The norm is around 8,000, because we have.
The norm is 7 or 8?
Yeah.
The average house size?
Yeah, because we're not doing a lot of the 2,000, 3,000 square foot ones. They're mostly between 6,000 and 11, 12,000.
Do you know how many homes do we have under construction right now? Any idea? Or
Oh God.
hundreds?
Yes, there are probably new homes. We probably have about maybe 150,
Under construction
because they
right now.
normally take about a year and a half to 2 years to build. So we're still working on homes that were permitted in early
Right.
2017.
I know a lot of our community makes their living building homes. A lot make their living selling homes
Yeah.
too. But a lot of people are employed in the trades, and we have some really skilled craftspeople.
We
Some
do.
great cabinet makers, great masons.
I'm always amazed. I go into some of these homes, and the quality of the workmanship. It's
Right.
just truly amazing. It's just,
We've talked quite a bit about these higher end homes, and I know the building permit fees are probably based in part on the cost of construction. And On the other side, we struggle to have our workforce live here and have modest homes. And then we see some homes that fall into disrepair. And I know you play a role too if a structure is unstable and needs to be condemned. And we have these homes, and people call them zombie homes, that basically maybe the bank owns, and they've been foreclosed upon, the lawns are overgrowing, the house, or somebody's close to losing a home and they just can't afford to maintain it. Actually, in the next segment, we're going to meet a woman from our Ordinance Enforcement Department who's tasked with working with these, what they call zombie homes. So that's coming up after. But Michael, we could talk for, I think, hours about the building permit process.
Yeah.
So I hope you'll come on again.
Sure.
I appreciate you.
Yep.
taking
Thank
the
you for
time to
inviting
meet
me,
with
and
us.
always glad to, inform the folks out there what's going on. And
If people have questions for the building department, phone number, website?
My number is 631-702-1820, and if I'm at my desk, I answer the phone.
That's
So-
great. Well, it might start ringing off the hook.
Well,
now,
that's okay.
so-
That's okay.
And we'll put the website on the screen so people can go to that address too and find out more information. So again, thank
Great.
you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you soon. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. So I am now joined by Tia Fulford.
Yes.
And Tia works in our newly created homeowner assistance program and is working directly as a community outreach specialist working with zombie homes. So I think we got to start there because I've watched plenty of zombie movies. It's kind of a scary thought. But what the heck is a zombie home?
So a zombie home would be a home I would describe as being in distress, that's in your community, in your neighborhood. And it could be a home that's boarded up. It can be a home that's overgrown. It can be a home that a neighbor may realize and maybe some assistance needed for that home. So it falls under a lot of different categories.
Now you're working through a grant, but through the Ordinance Enforcement Division.
Yes.
Which is under public safety in the town. And you're relatively new to the town employment, right?
Yes.
You came how long ago?
August, so since August.
August of last year. But you're not new to the area.
No.
Right? You grew up on Flanders?
Flanders.
And so these homes, we get calls about these homes. So typically are they, the homeowner just simply can't afford to take care of them, or are these homes that there's no homeowner at all?
I think it's a little bit of both. So we have some homes where, it could be a senior that's residing in a home and they might be in a nursing home. So a child takes over or does not take over. It could be a boarded up home, a home that's in foreclosure, and maybe the bank might have dropped the ball and kind of just left it there. Either way, they become, zombie homes into the community, and they drive, neighbors insane. So what we try to do is to identify these homes as quickly as possible and try to do what we can do as the town of Southampton to assist, if we can, to get them up to, up to code and to be able to live in a decent home.
What are some of the things that we can do?
So although we personally don't give them financial assistance at the moment, what we do is we send them directly to agencies that can, like why recreate the wheel. So there are tons of agencies that offer amazing services out there that most of the residents are not aware of. So what we do is kind of act as a liaison and get them the information they need ahead of time, the documentation that they need ahead of time, and get them into some appointments to get assistance relatively quickly.
So some of the people, so let's say somebody owns a home.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying their mortgage off, they're paying the heating bills, trying to put food on the table, but they don't have enough money to fix that lawnmower.
Yes.
So that they can mow the lawn. Maybe they don't have enough money to repaint the house or fix the broken fence outside. So you become aware, and then you reach out to that person.
Yes.
And you kind of do some hand holding.
Yeah,
right?
so pretty much I would, whether it be a complaint or a call for help, I usually try to contact them by telephone first. If I miss them, then I'll do a mailing, and then I'll just kind of like pop up. And
So what would you say? Let's say I'm the guy.
Okay.
I'm the guy. It's my house. You knock on my door?
yes, I knock on your
And
door.
what do you say?
I introduce myself as Tia, and I tell them I'm here to help. And I kind of tell them this is a friendly conversation before the guys.
How do you say that? Do you like, oh, by the way, your neighbors are complaining about your lawn being overgrown
No,
and there's
so
garbage everywhere? Like,
I was simply
how
saying,
do you do it without,
oh, So I'm always smiling.
pissing somebody off?
So I'm like, hi Jay, I'm Tia from the town of Southampton. Usually they freeze up, and I
Right.
say, and I really,
What did I do?
yeah, I quickly say, there's this new program that Southampton provides, where we assist homeowners that may need help. Do you need any help? And they kind of pause and they think about it. And before I give them an opportunity to speak, I'll just name the problem that I know that they're having. So I'll say, I noticed that your lawn needs to be cut. Do you have someone to cut your grass? Is that something you need help with? Because if you do need help, I think I have a solution if you have a few minutes. Normally that softens them up and they'll let me know. And then they'll tell you what's going on. And in the lawn repair part, which is the easy part, because they have Boy Scouts that'll help out. We have Southampton Town also have the senior services with the handyman. They help out. And we have Rebuild Long Island. They help out. So it's a ton of places that actually is already in place, but people normally just don't know they exist.
Have you had some success stories?
We've had amazing success
Really?
stories. Yes.
Tell me one.
I think I have two. So one is about taxes, actually. It's an employee of Southampton Town, and he was probably one of the first people I assisted. And it really was just getting him to realize that there's tons of exemptions that he qualified for, and getting him to understand that, don't look at the tax bill as like, oh my God, I don't have this money, so I'm not even going to open it. And then what happens is it doubles. Look at it as, okay, this is an issue. Let's see what I can do. So once we were able to figure out the exemptions that he can go for next year, we were able to even make an arrangement payment plan to get him caught up. And he actually was able to pay off his taxes relatively quickly with some not proper knowledge and information.
So he qualified for certain tax exemptions he wasn't taking advantage
Yes,
of?
which I find a
So
lot.
you got him enrolled in those
Yes.
programs.
And again, all the programs, it's not like I'm bringing the programs here. They're already at the town of Southampton. People just didn't know that they existed.
Now, what about the zombie home, the boarded up home? Nobody's living in it. Maybe taxes aren't being paid. Maybe they are. Maybe the bank owns it. They foreclosed on it, and they're just not spending any money on it.
So
what do you do in that situation?
So I reach out to the bank. I like to keep track of everything. So that way, if someone say, I didn't get the letter, I didn't get the email, and no one ever notified me, I actually keep a very organized database. I try to get them to come out. I take pictures of the home. I take pictures of the home, so I'll take a picture of the home on the left and on the right, and then the home in the middle and the home across the street, so the bank can kind of see
Okay.
what the community has to look at.
And has that been successful?
Only one house has been successful, and the bank has said that they were going to do renovations and they were going to sell
So
it.
you've had more success with the homeowners than with the banks,
Yes.
huh?
The homeowners.
Maybe I need to call the bank.
Yes.
You let me know.
Yes. So the homeowners have been really appreciative of the program. When I first started, I think I probably would go out in the community maybe once or twice. Now I spend most of my day in the community, and I'm out doing, whether I'm looking for grants for someone or assisting with the MAP program. Like, I'm just trying to link them up with services that's already out there that they can utilize.
You were going to share, I think, a second success story. You
Yes.
talked about the one guy in the taxes. There was another one you wanted to share.
Yes. So another success story I think was successful is someone house, like they had a hole in their roof, and I think their deck was in like total despair. And one of the code enforcement officers actually introduced me to this person. The reason this is important, because when you think of a code enforcement, you think of I'm in trouble. And this particular officer, instead of giving her NOV, kind of said, I'm going to give you a card and I want you to call this lady. And she did. And we were able to get some people out there to help her patch the roof, help her with her deck, and to get her caught up. Because usually if you have one problem, it's other problems. So I always tell people, instead of doing intervention, let's try prevention. So I said to her, now that you're all caught up, what does your budget look like in a couple of months when tax season rolls around? And she's like, oh. So I said, let's try to see if we can get you some assistance with that. So we actually was able to connect her with another agency that actually was able to give her a loan that was 30 years interest free to get some other things actually caught up in her home and get her taxes together. So that was probably like my favorite.
We have sometimes through the Community Development Block Grant Program, you may be familiar with
Yes.
that too, that we can provide grant money directly to help people improve their homes if they qualify
Yes.
income-wise. Now the grant, that's one type of grant, but the zombie program, you're being paid for as well through a grant, coming from New York State. But I believe that money originated when the state attorney general, Eric Schneiderman, went after the banks after the fiscal crisis of 2007, 2008, and some of the shady mortgages that were happening out there, and they got some sort of settlement and a big pot of money, and I think part of that is funding the zombie grant
Yes.
program, our little piece of, of this multi-million-dollar settlement. But it is doing good things, I think, to correct some of these old problems. I hate when, to see people lose their homes to foreclosure.
Yes.
Or non-payment of they might even own the home without a mortgage, and then they just can't pay their property taxes, and the county then takes the property.
Yes, after 2 years, it's eligible to be
3
taken.
years, yeah. After 3 years, the county can come. You can lose everything. You might only own a few $1,000s in taxes, and the house could be worth a couple $100,000, and they will take it away. They'll take it away. They'll auction it off to somebody else. You'll never get your money back, even though you only owed a few $1,000s. I think that's wrong, but that's the way the system works. So it's really important, I think, to work with these people, to do exactly what you're doing, to get out there and say, hey, we want to help. I'm not sure people believe that when they hear that the town is their friend, but you really are their friend.
Yes, no, in the beginning, they were kind of like, okay, but after a while, making my rounds to certain civic associations and just, I think them constantly seeing me, they was like, okay, so now I come in and I might have like 20 messages on a call. I actually have assistants now down there just to help with the scheduling. So I spend most of my time like in different communities now, kind of set up shop. I'm actually now going into churches. I'm looking for like safe spaces for people. So sometimes instead of going directly to them, I'll go into a church and just sit there in the church and hang out in the foyer for like 2 hours, and they can come in and meet me at their own time. And that's another way of just meeting them where they are and building trust.
Do you like it? Do you like what you do?
I do. I learn a lot of interesting facts about people. I didn't think that I would have to know so much about government and monies and funding.
Right.
So I'm learning a lot of that. I'm having a lot of seminars, but it's all information that we all should know. And most of the information is free. Like, most people just have to kind of get it and understand it. So if it takes for me to get the information to be able to pass it on in a way that they feel comfortable understanding, that works with me too.
So Tia, you grew up in the Flanders community, and I guess you've seen a lot of changes, sir.
Yes, so Vail Avenue and Brown Street. So it's been a big shift over there, a big one.
And are you finding these zombie homes, are they spread out throughout the community, or they're mostly concentrated in certain areas?
I think they're concentrated in certain areas. I definitely say Flanders, Riverside, Hampton Bays are big targets where I see these communities. I think one of the things are, when I was growing up there, there was, mom and dad taking care, and now the children are coming up with opportunities shifting a little. I definitely see like economic distress in that area, and it's putting a distress on the properties.
Are there any more things that the town could do to improve the situation?
I think just making sure the information is out there, having people have the knowledge of knowing that there is funding and there is assistance, and just depending on their forthcoming of information. The first thing is usually the hardest thing, which is saying I need help. So if they can just reach out, we have the website. They can call directly, and once I know that there's someone out there that needs me, I definitely do my best to try to find them the assistance that they need.
So that we'll put the website. You can say it if you know it, but we'll put it on the screen. And then, in terms of a phone number,
It's 631-702-1709.
and they should ask for you directly.
That's my direct line.
Say it again.
631-702-1709.
And we're, at the town, we're also trying to revitalize these areas. You mentioned Flanders, Riverside, Hampton Bays. We have plans afoot to stimulate economic growth
Yes.
in those areas and help, elevate the economy in terms of people will hopefully be able to make more money in those areas and then invest back into their homes. And, it's not an easy thing to do, and
No.
we've seen these areas. I think that Riverside area is the lowest census tract in Suffolk County in
Yes.
terms of the median income in that. It's a smaller area, but than some of the, elsewhere in Suffolk County. But the median income, people are surprised. They think of the Hamptons and they go, oh, you're out on the East End. It's just everybody's rich out there. It's not everybody's rich out
Yes.
here.
Well, I think one of the things that I noticed taking this position is the lack of assistance out here. And when I would reach out to some of these larger nonprofits and I would say, like, is there a way we can get you out here? They would kind of always mention that it's the Hamptons. And it's almost like when you think of Southampton, they think of celebrities, they think of, beach homes. They don't think
Yeah.
of the full-time residents that actually live here.
Right.
And getting them to understand that there's people out there that can really use your help was like the task. And then once they realize that, once I think the agencies as well as the families realize they were helped, now they're willing to make their transition to drive to the help. But we're
Absolutely.
looking to try to bring in some agencies to come and do like a fair, like a resource fair,
That sounds great.
so people can find out what's out there.
When I was at the county, there's 18 legislators, so I was the one representing the South Fork. And when I would say, we need more public buses, or we need money for our food pantries or for our health clinics, they'd look at me and go, what are you talking about? You don't have problems out there. I'm like, no, we have homelessness, we have malnutrition.
Yes.
They couldn't believe it. And, I just having to change that mindset. They thought we're an area that they could harness for money to fund other areas. And it turns out that, we have one of the lowest average incomes of anywhere in the county and probably one of the highest costs of living. And
Yes.
so we have these issues that people don't realize. So, but when people are struggling, to maintain their homes, they should call call Tia.
Yes.
And we'll do what we can to help.
Absolutely.
So, Tia, I have to give you, it stands for Tijuana, right?
Yes.
That's your full name?
Yes.
Thank you for coming on Talk of the Town. And
Thank you.
thank you for being available to people. And I'm sure when people meet you at their home, you put a great face out there for the town. So thank you for all that you do.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. All right, we'll see you next time on Talk of the Town.